Hello, this is John Moll with CrystalStream Technologies. Today I'm able to do one of my favorite things, which is examine some of the material that's come out of our devices in the field. At the same time, I was comparing what I'm seeing with some of the reports that describe the nature of what's washed off in stormwater. You know, sometimes I have to wonder, the people who write those reports are actually paying any attention to what's actually in stormwater. This material came from a CrystalStream device, and I'd like to show you exactly what we've got here. And I took a picture of it with this camera that we have, nice little camera on my macroscope. This is a microscope that doesn't require backlighting. It can show you things in 3 dimensions as they are. And this is a little bit of material I was looking at this morning. And just to give you a comparison, here is this is OK110. This is graded material. This is material that would be used for test sand. You can kind of compare that to what we have in our device out there. Not really the same. In fact, not very similar at all. And most of the material that is discussed as far as what's important from a pollutant standpoint are the really small pieces. Now, I can tell you that this piece right here is about 200 microns. That's pretty big. But I think you can see that there are little specks and flakes all through here. The tiniest black specks you might see here are about 20 microns. You can't really see the clay in here, but I can tell you, because I know what the average content is, we have 7 to 8% clay in most of these samples. Now, these samples have to be scrubbed and washed in order to separate the materials. In fact, this is a big piece of asphalt right here that has sand content in it. And, you know, a lot of people think that just these small particles are what's important. And these small particles are important, but they cling to other particles. And sometimes I think the guys that write those papers just aren't paying much attention to real stormwater. In fact, they want you to treat the tiniest little flows. And I have found out that the big flows are important because of what we see. This is kind of a live look at the material in here. I know you can't see that very well, but I want you to contrast kind of what you see in here to what you really don't see on here, but I can maybe illustrate for you. This, what's falling out of my hand that looks like very, very fine table salt. In fact, it's about 1/10 the size of table salt grains, most table salt. This is OK110. This is a test sediment that we use to evaluate the performance of our devices in the lab. Now, there are people out there who really believe, I'm going to put my sample back because I want to see this again in a minute. People out there who really believe that if you perform a certain way on that test sand, you'll perform the same way in the field, which is kind of crazy. Those are the same people that say just treat the small storms because the dissolved pollutants that come off of the site and the tiniest particles move in those storms. Well, I think you can see that the tiniest particles don't always move because they're attached. I think you can also understand that dissolved chemicals, let's say for example salt that we salt our roads with, is certainly not going to be removed certainly not by a separator, probably not by much of anything else, although salt will absorb into the ground and other materials. These folks tend to believe that these materials are magically removed somehow at night or somehow during the idle period between storms. I have found some evidence of that. I found the pollutant domes will come down at night and pull the heavy metals and pull the clay and other stuff out of these wet ponds and other filtration devices that are out there. And so if you believe in domes, you're probably going to love just treating small storms. But if you've ever seen real stormwater, including this came right out of one of my devices. This is a lead wheel weight, obviously at, I would say 300 centimeters. This is 30,000 microns. It's certainly not important that we keep this out of the environment. Although you fishermen may want to change the brass weights because when you're fishing with lead, it's very important. When you're driving around with it, apparently it's not so important. So that's my little rant for today. If you'd like to come by sometime, give me a buzz and we can look at some real pollution, some real sediments and other organics and other things that come from our devices. It could be a good opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about how stormwater really works. Thank you for taking time to listen today.